Hello, and I just want to tell you a big congrats on Invisible Valley. It's a fascinating look at lives less seen in the Coachella Valley.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. Now, first things first, this one is a year in the life of those living invisibly in the Coachella Valley, right? I mean, is that how you'll describe it? I mean, describe Invisible Valley in your own words.
Yeah, Invisible Valley is very much a year in the life of the Coachella Valley. And that's, what our focus is on migrant farm workers and a migrant farm working family throughout the year. But we also do cover the other side of the valley and sort of look at how things, overlap and, coincide or don't overlap. And because sometimes these worlds, are right next to each other, sometimes just across the street. So there's also snowbirds, there's also Coachella kids. We try to sort of look at the valley from a wider perspective.
Give us a genesis of the film. What got you interested in writing and directing the movie, or what was your intent in doing so?
Well, the initial push for the film was to sort of show, the invisible side and give, kind of voice to this, some of the problems that the migrant worker communities are facing out there. And when my producer and collaborator, Zach McMillan, brought the project to us, that was sort of the first part. And we knew that as outsiders, we live in New York. And as outsiders coming in, we felt that just telling the story of the migrant worker wasn't necessarily our place to do so exactly. And that's where the sort of genesis of this idea of like looking at migrant workers in context of everything else came from. And so, the initial idea was, let's go to Coachella Valley and let's look at everyone as a migrant. Not only the farm workers, but the snowbirds are migrants. The people who come for festivals, who come for Coachella and Stagecoach, they're migrating every year. These patterns are happening. And so that's sort of the genesis point. That's where we started. And so it was really just about, spending time in the valley, getting to know people, getting to know some families and getting to spend some time on both ends of the valley and really creating this tapestry that the movie turned into out of all that.
You interviewed folks here from all walks of life. I mean, walk us through the production process. How did you pick your interviewees?
We cast the net as wide as we could get it. So we were really kind of just looking to get as many people as we could. And, it started via the school system, through programs like Read With Me, and some of the people that we were working with, were volunteering, to read with kids through that program in the school system. So we met the teachers, who are teaching migrant workers' children, and from there met the families, and really got to know a lot of people. And it was, the amount of goodwill and humility that some of these families brought was so amazing. It was so wonderful. They allowed us into their homes and really opened up their lives to us in this really beautiful way.
What was your biggest discovery about the valley in making the documentary?
Yeah, from even coming to visit, early on, going to Coachella Festival when, I was younger, I saw that, the sort of candy colored cars and palm trees and everything that sort of is, the valley. If you looked just down the street from that, you could see something different. And that was always very interesting to me. And that kind of disparity exists, everywhere in the country in different ways. But in the valley, it's sort of more extreme, right? Because those visual contrasts are so prominent. And really, so going to the invisible side and, meeting families, seeing what they're going through, learning the specifics of what these farm workers are facing. They are dealing with incredibly difficult lives, doing incredibly important work that is crucial for our economy and, for, getting food on our tables. And, to see people who are working in the fields, all day from before dawn and then going to sleep on the ground, in a parking lot, in a dirt lot, because there's no support system for them. that was a really shocking discovery, and something that, we felt it was really important for more people to understand.
You know what? You sort of mentioned it. There are three lines I want to mention because those one resonated with me. The first one, Mary, I think, said it. Take a right out of the gate instead of a left, and it's a whole other world. That's pretty much what you're saying, right?
Right, exactly. And that theme is a key. That's a key point, to some of the ideas we're trying to get across. Is that, invisible valleys exist everywhere. I'm in New York right now. They exist here. They exist all over the place. They exist all over the world. And it's about turning left instead of turning right. You always, you just go right because that's where everything else is, and the grocery store and the malls and et cetera, et cetera. But, these communities that might just be a block away in the other direction that seem to be other, are not as different from you as you may think. And it's really more and more, I think, important for us as communities and, as a culture to start understanding that and to start looking the other direction and with an open mind.
The other line is, we are all, also I think from Mary, we are all migrants of time. I mean, that means a lot.
Right. Yeah. And those themes of migration and sort of looking at migration from a sort of a different perspective, right, was important to us. And so that idea of being all migrants through time, really resonates. That was actually a quote from a book called Exit West, which came out a few years ago. And, it just places us all together. We are all going through this journey of life, and, we all face hardships. We all have dreams for our families. It's something that connects us all.
And this one, I think, is your thesis. This is from Ron, one of the snowbirds, I think. He said that becoming more aware, be more involved. It's like an action phrase, right?
Right. Yeah, and I mean, that was, in speaking with the snowbirds who were volunteering, the people who had gone left and experienced this community and engaged with it. The thing that we came away with was how profoundly affected they were by even small acts of charity or just donate, just spending some time with people. I mean, we heard so many stories that, people who had lived very rich and fulfilling lives, and were in their older age, said that, doing work like that and connecting with these communities was some of the best things they'd ever done in their entire life.
Oh, now, and this one also at its heart is an immigrant story, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The story of the family that we follow, they, Maricela and her whole family were so, warm and really opened their homes to us. And, their life and their insights, I think, are beautiful and profound, and, excited to really share it with a larger community.
But you know what? And this one, without hitting the nail over the head, I mean, the cycle. My husband is a teacher in Mecca, and so he told some stories about it, and it is kind of sad to see. Like like what the documentary said, there are some grandmas become grandmas at a young age, and the cycle continues.
Right, exactly. Yeah, we saw cycles everywhere between migration and the harvest season, and cycles of poverty, and cycles of, families trying to figure out how do we get our kids educated in a way where they maybe can do something different, while we still have to move 3 times a year and take them out of school because we need to work, and so there's a lot of difficulty, there's a lot of hurdles that these families face. And, those cycles are real. And yet, there are stories of people breaking that cycle, and I think the more we can champion those stories and sort of show the way forward, that's what we're hoping to do.
That's right. I mean, that's why a movie like Invisible Valley must be seen. Now, when you heard that Invisible Valley will be the opening night film of Santa Barbara International Film Festival, what did you think?
We were just thrilled. You know, it's an honor to bring it to Santa Barbara. We can't wait to show it to Southern California and California in general. We're really excited. They're doing a drive-in element, so even though we're in COVID days, we can still get together and watch the movie on a big screen, and we're just really excited to bring it out there.
Will it also be available virtually?
It will be available virtually, yes, for California residents.
Great. So it opens in Santa Barbara Film Fest on March 30th, right? But what's the end game for you with this film? You wanted to have a wider audience?
Yeah, I mean, we think that, even though this is about the Coachella Valley, these themes, like I said, I feel like they are applicable to the country, and they're applicable to places outside the country as well. And, I think there's a lot of people outside Southern California that don't know about, they've never seen people picking vegetables before sometimes. So we're really hoping to get this out to as many people as we can and, generate conversations. That's sort of what the film was intended to do, raise questions and generate conversations. So we're excited to do that.
Right. This is for those people who go to Coachella or the Palm Springs International Film Festival and everything in between, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
What I also love that in the end, I love how you dedicated this to Maricela. I mean, it's a dedication to all the migrant workers, housekeepers, and pretty much the customer service workers in the Valley, right?
Absolutely. Yes. I mean, these people are the backbone of everything that keeps us afloat. And, it's our job to acknowledge that more often and not treat them as invisible.
So your big hope is for viewers to see the film, but what do you hope for them to get after watching Invisible Valley?
Hope for them to hopefully gain a slightly different perspective. Maybe not to be naive, but hope to change some people's minds. That might think X, Y, or Z about a migrant worker or a migrant of any kind. And to engage with your community, and engage with, maybe look at what work can you do for an hour, a week, in your local community and see what needs are there. Those are the kind of, and ask, just ask questions and speak with one another about these issues. I think a dialogue is a great place to start.
Right. The next time you eat a fruit or you eat a bok choy, I mean, it came
Absolutely.
From exactly.
Absolutely.
I want to congratulate you again on your eye-opening documentary, Mr. Aaron. I mean, it makes the invisible visible, and that is really what matters.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Oh, good luck on everything, and hope to see you on the red carpet soon.
Absolutely. See you there.
Bye for now.